What would you do if your child was bullied at school? Would you contact the principal, maybe the school board? What options are available to you if you feel school staff aren't doing enough to protect your kid?
You could do what Jill Trahan Hardy is doing for her daughter. At first, she pulled the 11-year-old from class. Then Mom went one step further. She allowed her daughter to go back to school on one condition. Now Mom and daughter attend Earl Haig Public School in the East End of Toronto together. During school hours, Mom is in the library helping out, but she's at her daughter's side at lunch and to go to and from classes and recess.
We're joined in studio by social worker Gary Dernfeld. Now, Gary, parents do whatever they can to keep their kids safe. Playing the part of a bodyguard at school does seem a bit excessive, doesn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely excessive. My heart goes out to this little girl. Apart from being bullied and suffering the embarrassment and shame of that, she now has her mother as bodyguard. And so while on the one hand she's physically safe, I think she's going to be set up for a lot more taunting.
She was offered the opportunity to either eat her, according to the mother, her daughter could eat her lunch in a separate office, or she could be transferred to a different school. That seems like she's the one who's being highlighted as having a problem.
You know, none of those are acceptable solutions, and having mom shadow child to school also isn't an acceptable solution. This child is going to grow up feeling so vulnerable, so unable to fend for herself in these circumstances, that she will inadvertently be a target for anyone who wants to take advantage of her, because she's not going to have what we call the ego strengths to manage. When we look at kids and we think, you know, yeah, there's the bullies, but we also think of victimology. Why some kids over others? These are kids that don't have the same wherewithal, the same what we call resiliency, the same ability to withstand the intrusions of others and push back. And I don't mean physically aggressively, but to withstand that emotionally. This girl doesn't appear to have that resiliency. She would likely benefit from counseling herself or attending groups with other children like herself to develop the skills to manage one's ego and those intrusions.
All right, Gary, I'm sure you've run into a lot of helicopter parents, maybe not to this level. What do you say to the mother in this case here? What could be said to the mother that over a period of time would make her realize that what she's doing is not benefiting her daughter, not benefiting her relationship with her daughter, and not allowing her daughter to grow up and face some of the realities of life?
Well, I'm not going to chastise this mother, actually, because...
No, you'd have to counsel this mother, because what she's doing is wrong.
She is doing what she can in some direct circumstances where her child's needs aren't being appropriately met. So at the same time, that's why I'd want some counseling for her daughter to help shore up her ego strengths. And I'd want to do something with that school to hold them more accountable to making the place safer for this girl and likely for other kids therein as well. You know, this bullying, sometimes people zero in on the moment and think, oh, isn't that awful? The truth of the matter is bullying has long legs. And what I mean by that is children who are bullied to this kind of extent, it creates mental health problems. It creates depression. It creates anxiety. I happen to treat adult survivors of childhood bullying who themselves are now dealing with depression and anxiety in their adulthood, the result of these very experiences in childhood. So when we want to combat bullying, it's not just to make it nice in the moment, it's because we recognize that it is protective of this person's mental health for the duration of their life.
I have heard parents when interviewed, when they had children that were being bullied, and they said, listen, what I did is I told them to like fight back, push back, hit back, whatever it is in the moment. And most often the parent will say, and that was the end of that. I mean, would you ever advocate that as a method of dealing with bullying?
No, I don't want to advocate that as a method of bullying, but what we do want to teach the child is how to fight back emotionally, psychologically. And it's not by calling names back, it's by learning to withstand this kind of stuff, let it wash off us, not succumb to that. Carry ourselves through the world in a manner that says, I'm confident, I've got the shield around me, don't mess with me in that way. These are the skills we want to teach these kids so that they're not inadvertently retargeted as easy prey.
Gary,
And that, by the way, is not to blame the victim. We're not condoning what has happened to them whatsoever. Sorry, Mark.
I wanted to ask you about the lack of social skills that young people seem to have in general these days, what with computer screen time, laptops, whatever. And I'm wondering if a situation like this just wouldn't be accelerated to that point where this girl, and when I first heard the story, I thought, I wonder if the parents let this girl sleep in the family bed until she was 7 years old, or one of those kind of things, really overprotective. But I'm wondering what it does to retard the social skills of a youngster that may have problems already just dealing with people, youngsters or teachers on a one-to-one basis.
Well, we want our kids to learn social skills so that they can get along. You know what? Success in life is less measured by academic performance and more measured by these social skills. So if you have a child who doesn't know how to cope socially, who doesn't know how to read social cues, we want to put them in a learning environment specific to that. We want to teach them and overcome this we sometimes actually call it a nonverbal learning disability, this inability to read social cues and manage ourselves socially. So we want to put them in learning situations to deal with that, to better equip them to get along with others and to read those social cues.
That's our friend Gary Dernfeld, social worker extraordinaire. Thank you, Gary. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.